And welcome to the 18th episode of Ctrl Deplete. I think it's 18 now.
Uh, the thing's a 17.
Yeah, that's inaccurate. That's from last week's. I believe it's 18
Okay.
now. Now it says 18. Haha.
It's official 18. Who cares?
yeah, we're 18. We may have skipped. I don't know. I think last week's is 17. Anyway, I am your host Buckblind, and on the right side of the screen is Mr. Bioshock.
Hello.
How you doing, Mr. Bi? You staying nice and warm and toasty with all those fires up there?
It was a mess, man, today. I woke up, my whole house just smelled like a campfire, and I was like, I look outside, and the sky's red, you can't see the sun.
Oh man, I can't even imagine.
It was bad. Yeah.
How close are they to you? Because I know you showed me that map earlier. I don't know exactly where you live at in comparison to Calgary.
So probably about half an hour away.
Okay, so you're still a decent distance. The fires are still a decent distance from you then.
Yeah, forest-wise, I don't live near a forest.
Yeah.
Where the fires are happening. I live by in like a prairie area, so there's just like flat grounding, like
right.
Like people farming on the land and stuff. So, I mean, not to say that stuff can't catch on fire. It's just
yeah, for sure.
Control for sure. Cause like, yeah. It's close, but it's not like at our doorstep. But I did see today on the news that the smoke from the fire is reaching Oklahoma.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been smelling something burning. I'm pretty sure that was just food in the oven.
Yeah, so like I don't know what we really brought up, but yeah, there's a lot of wildfires where I live right now.
Yeah.
There's like 100 plus, so it's been quite smoky. It's quite smoky.
Yeah. Anyway, let's jump into the news. So this week, we do have the affixes this week, as the reset was this morning. So we've got Fortified, Entangled, and Bolstering. Fortified, of course, makes the ads have a lot more health and more damage. Bolstering just means that when you kill an ad, it bolsters the one next to it for like 20 seconds. Entangled, that is one of the new affixes for Season 2. That is, I believe, the one that it roots you. And I think the root just slows you down like 30% movement speed or something. I don't think it's a full-on root. I think it just slows you down.
I have a question.
What?
So, with bolstering, didn't it used to just be a permanent buff on the ads? Oh, yes. They changed it.
Yeah, I think it was either near the end of BFA or it was the start of... I think it was the start of Shadowlands. They changed it, and so that it has a duration on it, which makes bolstering super easy to deal with, because before... Yeah. So the issue that we were running into was if you bolstered something wrong, the only way to fix it was to die. Yeah. Like, it became a situation where if you bolstered something too early and it got 8 stacks of bolstering, it was faster to die, let it reset, and the bolstering fall off, and then kill it, than it was to just continue to kill it. Now, it lasts for 20 seconds, and then it falls off and goes to normal health. So it's not that big of a deal anymore. It makes it a lot easier, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, Entangled, we'll see how that goes. I'm sure Paladins, Blessing to Freedoms are going to come in handy this week. You'll want some... If you've got an ability that allows you to break free of roots, you're going to want that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, so Fortified, Entangled, and Bolstering. I know last week is a pretty good week for running keys. Hopefully this week could be pretty well as well.
You know what? I thought last week was really easy as well, except for that Neltharis run last night.
Yeah, I don't think that was an issue of dungeon tuning, though.
That was the dungeon, no.
We'll cover that here in a little bit.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah.
All right, so the race for world first, Aberys, that has technically concluded. There's still a lot of guilds going at it, but our first 3 kills have come in. So in first place, I believe it was Monday.
Yep.
Yeah, Monday. My days are so confused.
Monday, yeah.
My days are all mixed. Yeah, Monday, Liquid claimed the world first.
Let's go Liquid.
Yep. So NA reclaiming the world first title for this one. And
it's
then
been a while, eh?
yes, it's been. I think they got a kill early on. I think they got world first early on in Shadowlands, maybe Nathria. I think.
Okay.
I think they maybe got Nathria. But then Echo came in second earlier today, and then a few hours later, Method got world third. At the moment, I think those three are still the only three that have killed Sarkareth, Commander Sarkareth, which is the final boss. I know Liquid had the legendary staff or the legendary weapon item or the legendary item to start the quest for Evokers. They have that drop, and I believe I can't confirm it yet because I haven't checked, but I believe. Hang on, we're gonna get static here. Come on, cat, get off. Sorry about that. The cat's rubbing up against the microphone.
That's very good.
Anyway, Echo should, if how Blizzard said it worked is correct, then Echo should have gotten it as well, and then Method would have had a chance to get it. Now, it's also possible that maybe it's a 100% chance until reset, so anybody who kills it before the reset in the region will get it guaranteed, and then after the reset is when it's enabled, and it's a lower chance. That's what I'm thinking might be the case.
I say this just because, like, I already said I'd do it, but if it was 100% chance on Mythic, your boy would go get it.
All right.
But yeah, I don't see it being 100% chance. I
just don't think so.
I see your point of view saying, like, yeah, for the first, like, guilds in each region to get it, it's pretty cool, yeah. But, like,
yeah, well, and
even if that 20%, it's a great chance.
So it is guaranteed that the first guild or the first Mythic Sarkareth kill in each region, it's going to drop for that. What I'm thinking is that maybe anybody who kills it before reset, which the NA reset has already happened, so no one else is getting an NA until they just have to get lucky with it. But like EU still has a few hours, although they're probably all asleep right now. And then like on the Asian region, those servers,
Taiwan and stuff.
Yeah, those guys should have another day that if they can kill Sarkareth before reset, maybe they get it guaranteed as well. Because all the changes as far as the way it works is the once reset happens, so for NA it's already happened, so it's already in effect. You can get it on any difficulty setting, but LFR has an extremely rare chance to get it, and then it slightly increases for each difficulty setting upwards. What we don't know, and I don't think it is, based off what Blizzard has said, but Blizzard hasn't flat out confirmed anything on it. Some people are saying it's a 100% guaranteed chance on Mythic, and others are saying that it's just an increased chance. I don't think it's a 100% chance because the way that Blizzard worded their explanation did not sound like it's a 100% chance. Obviously, we won't know until we start getting more Mythic Sarkareth kills. Unless Blizzard decides to come out and clarify, which they probably won't.
Yeah.
But anyway, go ahead.
I just touch on this legendary. I think his legendary will be best used for the new spec. I think.
I agree.
I don't because like the weapon itself is every time you use an empowered ability, a stat bonus goes out to a random DPS near you.
Right.
Which is like 500 primary stat with 600 speed, and it lasts for 10 seconds, and you can summon 2 at a time because you got 2 empowered abilities. So you like have those orbs going on all the time. I plus with like the kit that if Augmentation, we'll get into it in a little bit, but they have a lot of talents that just also buff allies and do stuff like that. So I think with that weapon, it's like a perfect match.
Right. Yeah. Well, also, and if you're looking at, so I believe it's the legendary. I believe is a fist weapon, correct?
Yes. So
can Devastation, Evokers, and Preservation, are they even able to wear it to use fist weapons?
Yes. Okay. So all 3 specs eventually, but the 2 specs that are right now they can use.
Okay. I didn't.
Fist weapons, maces, swords, axes, 200 swords, mace, 200 maces, that kind of stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah, I didn't know if you guys were able to use those weapons or not.
Yeah.
I thought you just remained like kind of like spellcasters. You only have like staffs and pole arms and
right.
Like one-handed dagger with an offhand, stuff like that. You know,
they can use fist weapons, but the weapon itself looks really cool. I don't know if you've seen it.
I have not.
I think it looks pretty cool. While you're talking,
Nice.
I'll put it into the notes.
Nice. But yeah, so as far as the race world first, like I said, Liquid got it first. I think the biggest takeaway, at least for me, and yes, I'm a Method fan, but the biggest takeaway for me was that Method really was pushing on Echo and Liquid's heels. They really were. They were right there with them. I think Echo held the lead on the next to last boss and the last boss for a while until Liquid pushed ahead and got it overnight while Echo was sleeping. Actually, I didn't do it then. They got it the next day. It was during the afternoon. But
all right. Sorry, continue.
But I think what the biggest takeaway is that Method seems like they are now actually competing on the level that Liquid and Echo were. There were a couple on the next to last boss. There were the most one of the really exciting parts, I feel like, was Echo and Liquid were bouncing back and forth as far as best pulls, and it was, or not Echo, Method and Liquid were bouncing back and forth, and it was over a span of about 2 hours. You had Liquid had like a 50% pull, and then Method got like a 49% pull, and then Liquid got a 45% pull, and then Method got a 43% pull, and then Liquid got a 42%, and then Method got a 41%. They just kept going back and forth. It was a lot of fun to watch that. It felt like a real race. And then even on the final boss, we had Liquid pulled ahead quite a bit and held a good lead for a good while. But then Echo got and I was watching it as it happened. I had all three streams up. I had Echo, Method, and Liquid all pulled up. And Echo got down to a 5% wipe. They wiped at 5%. That was their best pull. That put them right on the heels of Liquid. And I literally, they wipe at 5%. I turn over to the Liquid stream. They're at about 30%, and everybody's live, and I start watching them. And they get down to 15%. They still have everyone alive. They get down to 10%. Still everyone's alive. And I'm like, oh, this is close. And literally, right the exact within 5 minutes of Echo getting their 5% pull, that's when Liquid got the world first kill. Like, it was such a close race, and I think it was really, really good for the health of the world first race, just in overall. Because for such a long time, it's been kind of a 2-horse race, but almost just a 1-horse race. Like, Echo is the last 2 tiers in Shadowlands. Echo, and even the first raid for this expansion, so like three raids now, it's just been Echo. I mean, Liquid was there, but they were a little bit behind. It just hadn't quite didn't really feel like they had a chance. So it's nice to see, one, they took it, so that they're back up there with Echo, and Method has improved massively. It was pretty much just a third battle for third place, usually for them, between them and Big Dumb Gaming Guild, and now it feels like they got a shot at being a world first contender. I think they're right there now with Echo and Liquid. So,
I mean, that's more exciting for the scene as well to have more than these two.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you can be like, wow, you can like see some of your friends that are not friends, but some people you watch and stream, they're competing. You're like, wow, they're doing actually pretty good. I mean, they can root for them now instead of being like, well, it's just between 2 teams. You got like, because I know there's a lot of guilds that rush into Mythic to try and get those first bosses killed first, before the top guilds come in. But even having some of those guilds went like 4 of 9, whatever it was, before some of it even started, I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, no matter like what rank you are, if you're clearing mythic bosses first, that's still very impressive.
Yeah. No, and I would love to see Big Dumb Gaming Guild be able to get up there with that level 2, have a 4th team. I mean, honestly, if we could have 5 teams and have 5 teams up there that any one of them could get that first world first, that'd be awesome. I think that would be a really, really fantastic. The more raid teams that are at that high level, the better the better overall race for world first is going to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do It was a really fun race. I think the actual raid itself, I think from a raider standpoint, I mean, they were all I think, felt disappointed with how easy the raid was, because that is the other thing. Typically, so
2 weeks.
It's hard to say because this is only the second time we've had a raid where Mythic opened the same week as normal and heroic. But normally you have a week of normal and heroic, then you start Mythic, and then Mythic will usually make it till reset and then die somewhere halfway or a couple days into the next reset. So you're talking about a 17 days usually since from the time that normal and heroic open up. So with everything open up now, the first tier,
6 days,
well, the first tier made it to the first reset, and it lasted. I mean, it would have lasted longer, except Blizzard went and nerfed the boss to make it insta-killable. Like, no shade on Echo for it, but, like, damn, Blizzard. Blizzard screwed up the world first race on the first tier. They screwed it up big time. They really did. It was one of their biggest blunders. For those who don't know, basically what happened, we covered it back when it happened, but what happened was essentially Blizzard just didn't want the final boss to last until Christmas, and it was going to, probably. So while Liquid was asleep and Echo was up, had already gotten up and was pulling, they nerfed the boss. They nerfed something on the boss. I don't remember exactly what it was, but up until that point, like I think Echo's best pull was like 30%. Like, they weren't even close. And they went in, and with the nerf, Echo went in and one-shot it. This very first pull after the nerf, they one-shot it, and it was while Liquid was asleep. So then Liquid went in.
That's tragic.
Yeah, so then Liquid never really had a chance to even compete. And Liquid went in, and they technically two-shot it, but the first attempt, I think, was like, it wasn't even, they wiped like 10% into the boss. Like, it was really a quick pull. And then the next pull, they killed it too. They essentially one-shot it. And it was all because Blizzard just didn't want it to go till Christmas, which is understandable, but one, if you're gonna make that change, you got to do it when the top teams are awake, all of them, not just when one of them is. And then I don't know, man, it just left a bad taste in everyone's mouth. And again, it's no shade on Echo. Like, they just did what they were supposed to do. They went in and tried to kill the boss, and they killed the boss. It kind of sucks, makes that world first leave a bad taste in their mouth. It sucks for Liquid because they feel like they got robbed, I'm sure. It was a bad screw up. That was one of the worst screw ups they've had in a while. But with this one, they even that raid, though, it still lasted like, everything started at first, and then so the raid came out, I think, on the 9th. I think it was. Was it the 9th? Hang on here. Let me look at this. The raid came out on the 13th is when it started. So it lasted 9 days, I believe, is what I'm looking at here. 9 days is how long that raid lasted.
The first tier?
Yeah, the first tier.
Okay.
It may have actually been Friday. I think so. I think it was 10 days. The race lasted 10 days. This one lasted 6 days. 6 days, and
that's a big difference.
Now, the thing to me is this. The raid teams, I don't think the raid teams liked how easy it was, necessarily. I don't know. I know the casters were very disappointed. I think, however, from an entertainment perspective, I felt it was perfect. Because some of the raid tiers that go on for like 14 days, because I know we've had raid tiers before where like they clear the first 6 bosses and the last 2 bosses take them like a week and a half to get kills on. It's boring. It's really boring. Like, when you're watching them, the casters are just time filling. Because when the best pull is 80% and they're still wiping over and over again, and it's pull number 230, you don't feel like that boss is going to die anytime soon. I think what made this race great from an entertainment perspective, one, we had 3 guilds that were competing, that were right up there, and I felt had a chance. 2, it really felt like any pull could kill the boss. I think it was right around 100 pulls for liquid to get the kill. But it felt they were down in that. Like I messaged you, over a span of about 2.5 hours, they had 5 pulls where they got down to like less than 5% and wiped. And it just felt like any second you were going to get that kill. And I think
that's more exciting.
Yeah, it was so much more exciting. And then you had when Echo started creeping up and was down to 5%, then it was like, oh crap, either one of these guys is going to be able to kill it any second. And then Liquid did. I think the way that this raid was tuned, I think from a player perspective, it might be a bit undertuned, and like the Mythic Raiders aren't necessarily liking that. But I think from a Race for World First standpoint, from watching it, from a viewer watching it, oh, it's fantastic. It was one of the best races for World First we've had in a long time.
Yep. Because it gets exhausting watching the same fights where they have like 150 polls.
Yeah.
Anywhere. You're like, why am I watching this? Like, nothing's happening.
Well, and so like, I don't remember which raid it was. I want to say it was the Sylvanas fight. It was like a 12-minute fight, man. And
yeah, it was a long fight.
And when you have these guys like, oh, they have to get to the third phase, is like they can get to the third phase every time, every single pull, but it's a third phase that they're trying to figure out, and you have to sit and watch like 10 minutes of a fight just for them to get to the new part and see if they're going to get it, and it sucks. Like I don't know. I thought from a race standpoint, the raid seemed tuned pretty well. I think one other thing that they mentioned that is also nice is that you won't probably see a ton of nerfs to Mythic, so which is interesting because on 2 levels, 1, it made the boss a bit undertuned. However, and this is something they pointed out too, it's kind of interesting because let's be honest, all of the non-Racer World First guilds, you don't kill the same Mythic bosses that the Racer World First teams do. Because usually Racer World First happens, they kill it, very first reset, Blizzard nerfs the heck out of these bosses. And you do not see, if you and I were to go and do Mythic raiding here in a couple weeks, typically you're not facing the same boss that they did. You're facing a boss that's got 20% less health, the abilities hit for 10%, 20% less damage. You see a much easier version. I don't think we're going to have that this time. And because it's undertuned a little bit, they don't need to nerf it, which, like, yeah, it's not so hard, but also it's kind of nice because, like, if we go into Mythic in a few weeks, which we probably won't, but if, let's say we went into Mythic raiding in a few weeks, we're probably facing the same bosses that they did without too much being different. I know there's a couple tweaks here and there that I think they're going to do. I think the Echoes and Eltharion, there's some circle stuff that happens. And watching the Racer World First, you're literally talking like when they spread out perfectly, you have about a 2-foot window of open space that everyone has to be stacked in. I think those circles are going to be made smaller because that was like ridiculous. I mean, you literally, like, you know how big like the world markers are. Mm-hmm. Like literally, that was the space. The amount of open space is the size of a world marker. It was, you had to be perfectly sitting in the right spot, and everyone had to perfectly take everything to all the bombs or the circle debuffs to the right spot. Otherwise, you'd overlap and kill everyone. Yeah. So I think something like that will get nerfed.
Yeah, for sure.
But speaking, go ahead.
I was just saying, I sent you a link for the appearance if you want to take a look at it. It's in the notes.
Yeah, I'll look at it. I'll look at it here in a little bit.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. So moving on.
But yeah, speaking of nerfs, we also have some Mythic Plus nerfs and hotfixes that went out. I believe these are from today, correct? Yeah,
yes.
So there's a couple little things. We've seen a lot of nerfs to Mythic Plus already to raid bosses and stuff, or the bosses in the dungeons. I haven't seen a ton of nerfs as far as trash goes.
Well, some of this stuff is good nerfs to trash. Like in Eltharion's Lair, falling debris nerf.
Well, that actually isn't for trash. That's for the boss.
Oh, is it? Oh,
yeah, that's Craig Shaper. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't think the trash is really that bad, honestly. Granted, this week is the first week in Fortified, so we'll see. This is the week we'll probably see some nerfs to a couple of trash, maybe. But so Olarog had the falling debris nerfed to where only it was targeting multiple players and just doing massive damage. So you couldn't like go in and out. And I know this for a fact from myself because I remember being in that dungeon last night. I was like, do I go in the circle? Do I go out of the circle? Because you're supposed to take him in the circle and he gets stunned when you kill the totem. But I was also like, man, I'm taking some damage being in that totem.
Yeah.
But they nerfed it, so it only targets one person, so you're not getting 3 different splash AoEs happening. You're only getting one. Then in Uldaman, the Trog there has Shocking Quake. The damage is reduced for that by 20%. Is the totem that he has there. It's not too bad of a totem anyway. I didn't notice it too much. Vortex Pinnacle, I was a little surprised to see a nerf here because Vortex Pinnacle seems very easy.
Yeah, it's very basic.
Yeah, but Twister Aura was reduced by 20% on Alterus. And then Nelferis, Warlord Sarga, and I don't know if that's the very last boss that in there. I think that's the very last boss, but I'm not positive. But no, and this one, Dragon's Eruption, a timer was increased to 10 seconds instead of 5 seconds. And it's funny because Wildhead's literally like, we don't know what this is. So yeah, not really sure because Dragon's Eruption is not a mechanic that he has.
Right.
So I think it has something to do with they think that it has something to do with some swirlies that normally come down, but they're not entirely sure. But either way, they think it's a nerf.
Okay. Want me to touch on augmentation?
Yes, as I say, so we do have a new spec for Evoker. We've already talked a little bit about it. Augmentation Evokers coming out in 10.1.5. So our resident Evoker here, Mr. Bioshock, has been looking up a bunch of information on it, and he's going to take us through what he has learned. So take it away.
So I'll just start off by touching on the set bonuses because that was released today. I know people are kind of curious. So to make sense, I'll kind of dip into some spells as we go over some of these set bonuses, so that makes sense. But so one of your main abilities is once I gotta bring it up, 10.1.5. Okay, there it is. Sorry about that. So for augmentation, one of your main abilities is called Ebb and Might, and basically you just click it's a 1.5 second cast, it's a 30-second cooldown, but it hits everyone in your group. If you're like in a 5-man group, it goes to 4 people, and increases their primary stat by 10% of your own, and it causes your like eruption, which is like a spender, to do 20% more damage. So Ebb and Might's really key to keep on your team because it's just a straight up buff. So, and that why I bring that up is because with the 2 set, Ebb and Might increase the damage of your power cells by 30%, and so that'd be just straight up damage. And the 4 set is Ebb and Might grants an additional 1% primary stat to each ally, so it's just a slight increase to the damage they get, or the primary stat they get from you with Ebb and Might. So that's the set bonuses. I think the 4 set is, I'm not sure, I haven't been able to test it because the PTR is not up. But the 4 set seems okay, but the 2 set seems pretty good. So it's that's that, and then what should I go over? I'll go over some key abilities which are pretty cool from that I kind of learned. So you have, so for Devastation, you have Fire Breath and Eternity Surge as your empowered spenders. For Augmentation, it's Eruption and Fire Breath, unless you go Breath of Eons, which I'll cover in a second. But Eruption basically is like an AoE ability. It costs 3 essence, 2.5 second cast. It's just kind of, it's just an AoE. It just does good and it increases the duration of Ebb and Might. So it's like some of these spells really like buff Ebb and Might, so you're buffing your teammates more. It's just nice overall.
Yep.
What I did learn, like with most specs, is they break the tree down into 3 parts: the left side, the middle, and the right side. So for augmentation, if you go through the talents, I'm not going to go through it all because it'll take a long time, but the left side is really focused on buffing tanks and stuff like that, where the middle, yeah, yeah. So it's good too. So because like you have enough points, you can kind of dip into like quite a few parts.
Right.
So the tank buffing and just the buffing in general is the left side. You have your damage going down the right side, and your healing abilities on the right side. Did I say that right? Did I say right side twice? Or say middle? I don't remember.
No, I don't know.
Anyways, it's split up. So, but like there are some heal. That when I say healing abilities, there's like 2 or 3 increases. It's not meant to be a healing spec. It's meant to be a buffing spec. You know, it just has those off heals. Is exactly that, off heals. So one of the cool abilities that I'll touch is called Breath of Eons. It replaces deep breath. So if you're familiar with that ability, you fly across like the area with like breathing fire. So basically, the Breath of Eons is the same thing, except for it puts a dot on everyone. Not really a dot, but a debuff that lasts for 10 seconds. And basically, it accumulates 15% of the damage dealt during that time. And then at the end, it explodes, dealing arcane damage, and is guaranteed a critical strike. So it's very similar to Touch of the Magi for arcane mages. Like that, you can build up the damage, which is pretty cool. It is a 1.5 minute cooldown, whereas Deep Breath is either 2 or 1, depending on your spec. So I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna go over it all. Just a few more I want to touch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Based on, Augmentation Evokers get a cheat death, and it's rather strong. So when you take an ability that would have killed you, it heals you for 160k, and then heals everyone in your group for like 75k or something like that. So like, you just don't die. You get a self heal. You heal your teammates. And it's every 6 minutes, like most. I think that's like what the rogue cheat death is too. I think it's 6 minutes. Some abilities that don't change would be like Living Flame. That's still around for Augmentation Evokers. They have a cool talent called People of Alexstrasza that says when cast at an enemy, Living Flame strikes 1 additional enemy for 100% damage. So you can just constantly cleave with your Living Flame, which is nice.
Nice.
I'm gonna go over a couple of the capstones, then I'll be done. There's this ability, which is pretty cool, called Time Skip, and it basically surge forward in time, causing your spells to cool down 1,000% faster for 2 seconds.
Ooh.
Yes, and you can spec into it to increase that for 1 more second, so it can be 1,000% for 3 seconds.
That's big.
Yeah, and it's a 3-minute cooldown, so it's only 3 minutes. It's not like a 5-minute, which you would think with like how strong that sounds, it'd be like 4 or 5 minutes, but it's a 3-minute cooldown. But that being said, there's also another talent that the capsules are picked between, because like the one that increases the time skip channel by 1 second is called Tomorrow Today. So you can pick that one for the time skip, or you can get Interwoven Threads, which just flat out gives you a 15% reduced cooldown on all your spells.
Nice.
So I don't know which one's better. I think like that Tomorrow Today with the time skip can be really good.
This is math in my head. I'm thinking if it's 1,000% for 2 seconds, that would basically mean like it would take 20 seconds off. If it's 3 seconds, you're going to take 30 seconds off. So then if I guess it just depends on probably your party comp, because if you're talking, so if all of your abilities are reduced by 15%, if you have a lot of long ability cooldowns, like say Demon Hunter Metamorphosis is 3 minutes. So if you take 3 minutes, see, that's 180 times 15%. That's 27 seconds.
I gotta play this out. The cooldown versus reduce is just for the Evoker.
Oh, okay.
The time skips the group.
Okay, so in that case, the time skip's gonna be better. I would say time skip, and then have the one
tomorrow
the
today.
the 1 second, because that's going to take 30
huge.
seconds off of everybody's cooldowns.
That could be huge. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think you go with the extra second on there.
Yeah.
Because that's 30 seconds off of your cooldown every time you use it. That's going to be pretty nice, I feel like. But go on.
Yes. So that's just kind of all I wanted to touch on. I did see a cool ability for Augmentation Evokers. They actually have stances like a warrior if you spec into this talent.
Yep.
And it's pretty cool. So you have Black Attunement, and so it's you and your fourth nearest allies have 5% increased maximum health, which is nice. It's just that's good.
Yes.
You know. And then Bronze Attunement is just increases speed by 10%.
Yes.
So
now
I do think the health is better, but it depends on the fight.
My question is this.
Yep.
Do you have to talent into one of those choices, or do you have both stances and you can switch just like a warrior or something?
Yeah, you have both.
Okay, so in that situation, during actual combat, the health is going to be better. But like for Mythic Plus, like when you kill a pack and you got to run back, just like I feel like that is something where it's going to be pretty nice because you can just swap your stance real quick while we're going to the next pack, get 10%, and then as we pull the next pack, switch back.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know if it was something where you could talent into one or the other, or if it's an actual like you just have both stances, you can use them at any point in time.
Yeah. So, a couple cool abilities that I'm looking over right now that I'm remembering from watching that video yesterday was that the Breath of Eons, the damaged one that accumulates the damage. There's a talent called Chrono Ward that gives everyone 100% shield of the damage they dealt.
Oh, nice.
So that could be really good for AoE or like an enrage or just straight up a shield, like it's just good to have.
Yeah. I know there's the talent that reduces threat by 30% that you'll definitely need to put on yourself so that you don't pull threat from me every single time we're in a dungeon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there is one that like it increases. I don't remember what the percentage was, but it increases the armor of an ally based off a percentage of your armor, right?
Yeah. So that would be. I think that
what's that percentage on?
Blistering Scales. Yeah, Blistering Scales is 30% of your own. And to point out, Evokers
have a lot of armor.
Yeah, it's one of their passive abilities is to increase their armor by 75%.
Yeah, and that should always go on your tank.
Yes, so it's a 30-second cooldown, and it's instant. And basically, it gives them 15 explosive Dragon Scales, and their armor increases by 30% of your own. The melee attacks against you cause the scales to explode, dealing damage. And it can only occur every few seconds, kind of like how Earth Shield works for shamans, where not consecutive hits just pops it, but like an internal cooldown of like 2 or 3 seconds of what I'm guessing. The Blistering Scales can only be placed on one target at a time, so like you can't.
How long does it last for?
Does
it have a duration, or is it just until the scales fall off?
It's just until the scales fall off.
Okay, so as long as there's a single scale, then I still have the 30% armor increase?
Yes.
Alright, and then what's the cooldown on it? 30 seconds, you said?
Yeah, 30 seconds. Instant.
That's not bad. That's not bad. I like that a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Especially as a Demon Hunter tank, we need more armor, man. Our armor is, without having some kind of defensive up, our armor is basically just a hair above an Evoker's armor.
Yep.
Like, you can tank it just as well as I can whenever I don't have any defensives available.
So, there's a cool interaction here. It might be better in PvP, but it might see someone playing Mythic Plus, probably not raiding.
I think I know what you're talking about.
What?
I think I know which one you're talking about.
The Upheaval?
Yeah.
So, basically, you channel it like you would channel a Disintegrate, I think. But the tooltip looks about the same. So basically, like earthen power beneath your enemy's feet kind of sends them hurtling upwards, so it knocks them in the air. And then you can spec into an ability called Seismic Slam. That when you click it, it stuns enemies that are in the air for 4 seconds. So you can like every 40 seconds you can knock up and then stun, and like in a combo.
And not just in PvP, in Mythic Plus, that is going to be amazing.
Yes. Yep.
Having that extra CC, stun, whatever, like, yeah, that's awesome. Because right now, you guys, Devastation Evokers don't have an AoE stun, really, right?
No.
Yeah, you have
I mean,
you
if you
have the
spec
knock.
into the deep breath stun,
Gotcha.
but that's like a minute. That's like well, I think the spec I'm running, like the other Evokers are running, is a 2-minute cooldown. So 2-minute cooldown on a 3-second stun.
Gotcha.
Whereas
Yeah.
Upheaval is a 40-second cooldown with a 4-second stun.
Yeah, that's gonna be really nice and gonna be really, really good.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. I think there's a lot of really cool abilities, and I think everyone should go and look at the calculator, look at videos, play PTR, and give feedback. Because like I know this isn't going to be final. This is just the beginning. So it's good to get some testing in. Obsidian scales. Can I search here? Sorry, I gotta search this up real quick.
You're good. No, I'm looking forward to it just because I think it's if you play an Augmentation Evoker, that's gonna be nice for me as a tank. I feel like.
Oh yeah, I think
I'm gonna
so too. Yeah.
enjoy a lot of those buffs, especially that extra armor. Oh, it's gonna be so nice. Just have you hit me with. I'll just have you hit me with that anytime I don't have defensives available.
Yeah. Well, the beauty thing is, like, with the internal cooldown of it popping, you can have 100% uptime probably. Because if it gives you 15 scales and it only pops every 2 or 3 seconds, it's a 30-second cooldown. That uptime should be 100%.
Yeah, if it's got something like that on it, that would be nice.
Yeah. I lost what I was looking at. I don't understand. That's frustrating.
Was it a talent or an ability?
It's a talent. Well, I can look it up. Oh, there it is. So Obsidian Scales, the defensive that reduces damage taken by 30% for Evokers. The Augmentation has a buff that when you pop Obsidian Scales, it activates a black attunement, and it amplifies it to increase your max health by 12%. And then Hover activates Bronze attunement and amplifies your movement to 25%. So your Hover gives you movement, and your Obsidian Scales, your shield wall, gives you health, which is kind of cool. But nice. Like those aren't for team. Like if you're trying to spec for like a buffing team, Aspect's Favor is not going to be the way to go. I don't think.
Gotcha. No, it sounds like a really cool spec. I know you and I were kind of talking a little bit. I think we'll definitely see them getting used in raids. Like you're never going to turn down an augmentation, getting at least one augmentation evoker. And honestly, it sounds like a lot of their stuff hits for like 4 or 5 of the nearest targets. So you could probably fit 2 augmentation evokers and stick one like in melee range and one in like ranged with the range classes.
Yeah.
And augment, that way you're buffing both groups, I feel like. Yeah, so I could see there being spot for 2 augmentation evokers in raids.
Yeah. There's this so I don't know if you saw this. I saw it today, but they have smart targeting system for augmentation.
Yes.
Which is like if you want to use like this ability called prescience or something like that. Prescience.
Yes.
So the ability to grant your ally foresight, increase their critical strike chance by 3%, and occasionally copying their damage or healing spells at 15% power for 20 seconds. But if you don't have a healer targeted, it will automatically go to the nearest healer within 25 yards.
Yeah, I saw they have a lot of smart targeting stuff like that, which is good because
yes.
For me,
it'd be hard to go back and forth.
Yeah, for me, I like one of the main reasons I don't play healer is I don't like having to pay attention to allies and like locate them and I need to hit them with this buff, I need to hit them with that, and I need to heal them with that's the only things. I don't like playing healer because my eyes are too focused on everyone's health bars and not focused on mechanics. And I was a little worried with Augmentation Evoker that it might be a similar thing, but it sounds like with the smart targeting, it's not going to be that bad. Like you'll be able to target stuff if you want to, but you don't have to. I feel like.
Yeah.
And I think what it's going to do is essentially, if the smart targeting works well, then I think what will end up happening is like your top players in the world, you're going to be individually targeting whatever you're wanting to target, and they're going to be good enough to do it. But you don't have to, and you'll still be able to perform well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got anything else on augmentation? Or
just gonna cover a couple of PvP talents I was looking at, just to show you how broken this could potentially be in PvP as well. So the main buff that we have, Ebb and Might, the one that gives you the stat, is the 30-second cooldown lasts for 10 seconds. If you have Ebb and Might up in the PvP talent Born in Flame, your Ebb and Might causes your Living Flame to be instant cast for the entire time it's active. So for 10 seconds, you can just click Living Flame and just like smoke kids.
Nice.
They have a ability called Lava Shield, which is a 30-second cooldown, and while it persists, it cannot be interrupted or silenced. So and it can go on an ally too. So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And then I didn't really look at the other talents. They're pretty much the same as the other specs. It was just those two that kind of stood out.
Nice.
But like I said, I'd encourage you all to like go and take a look, because the class, the spec looks very promising, and I think if they keep it where it's at, maybe a little bit of tuning, it'll be really good. And I think it could potentially be more useful in a Mythic Plus than a Devastation.
Nice.
I think it's possible. I don't know if it will be. I think it's possible though.
I think like single target. I think Devastation's still going to see some play in raids if they keep their single target up, as it is. I think Augmentation's going to see some pretty strong play in Mythic Plus, especially.
Yeah.
You're definitely going to have Augmentation Evoker in a raid.
Yeah. There's one more ability I just read that sounds pretty strong too. It's called Overload. It's one of the capstones. Is when you use Deep Breath or Breath of Eons. It casts an eruption at the first 3 enemies struck. So 3 eruptions. That could be pretty strong. So that's just kind of cool because it's just more damage.
Right.
But yeah, that's basically it. There's obviously a lot of other stuff you can go over and just kind of read through, but I think personally it's looking pretty good. I like the way it looks so far. So I just have to see how it performs.
Nice. But yeah, so go and check out your Augmentation Evokers, guys, because it's gonna be a nice class. I like it.
Yeah.
So anyway, what has your week in WoW been like?
Mythic Plus in Raid.
Mm-hmm.
I think we did pretty good in Mythic Plus this first week.
Yep.
10s, 11s.
Yep. What'd you get? What was your top loot you got?
Well, I got the 431 it was like a cape, but I got a 428 glove tier piece. So.
But what about the other piece you got? That's your BIS.
My weapon?
Yes.
Yes, a haste mastery weapon. So I upgraded that to 424 right away.
Yep, nice. I got from the raid. I got our tier piece for I think it was already gloves. I think is what it was. I got the gloves. Yes. I haven't equipped them yet because they were only like 3 item levels above what I've got, and I didn't want to break my tier set just yet for only a 3 item level upgrade. But once I get a 2 set, definitely gonna break my 4-piece set right away. But yeah, no, dungeons were really good. We got the first 3 bosses killed in raid on normal. We're gonna go into night. Hopefully, we'll get a little bit better group, more organized. It'll be able to just go through and hopefully clear stuff quickly. And then we'll also we got some, like you said, some 10s and 11s Mythic Plus done. I think we did most of the dungeons. I'm trying to think if there are any that we hadn't done yet, because we did an Underrot, we did a Freehold, we did Vortex Pinnacle, we did Notharian's Lair, we did Notheris, we did Brackenhide Hollow, we did Aldemon, and what's the last dungeon? Oh, Halls of Fusion. Yeah, we've done all the dungeons, so we did all of them at least once. But I don't think they're too bad, honestly. We were doing 10s and 11s pretty early on. That's pretty good, I felt. I got my best in slot trinket, Harlan's Loaded Dice from Freehold, which we did start off the season with Freehold. I mean, how could you not? Freehold, best dungeon there is out there in the game. And to get my best in slot trinket, very first dungeon, like, come on, yeah. It was a great start to the season. I think we had a really good start this week. For only getting to do dungeons one night, pretty much, week. I guess we did 2 nights worth of dungeons so far. No, it's a good start. I got one piece of tier. I'm going to open up Vault after the podcast, and we'll see if I get a second piece of tier, hopefully.
That'd be cool.
I did get a single dungeon done on both my Pally and my Monk, so I have a vault for them. We'll see what I get. I did get a piece of gear in the dungeon for my Pally. I didn't get anything for the Monk, but we'll see what we get in the vault. We did we did some of the chapters, campaigns. We got our new drakes, or our new dragon mounts.
The Slither drakes.
Yeah, I know. How do you feel about that mount?
I love it. I think it looks really cool.
Nice.
Probably my favorite.
I haven't used it yet. I haven't really looked at it too much. I want to customize it before I pull it out. But I also have a macro that I have to adjust if I change my mount. So I only use 2 mounts right now with my macros. I use the dragon riding mount that I normally use, just a small one, just because it makes it easier to move around. And then I've got the season 4 Mythic Plus Keystone Master mount. That's about all I've done so far. I know we're going to do some more raids, some more dungeons tonight, and see what all we can get. I think it's been a good start to the season, though.
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, it kind of sucked that I only got loot like twice out of like the 9 mythics we did. But I mean, best slot weapon is good.
Yeah, I mean, I only got, I think, 3 pieces total from the dungeons.
Yeah.
But, I mean, only 2 out of 5 are going to get it, so you got a 40% chance of getting loot, so, you know.
Yeah.
But, no, it was a lot of fun. I like the dungeons. Yeah. I'm not too worried about loot, because I think I'm just focused more on the score, and that helps me not be mad when I don't get loot. Like, loot is always great, but yeah, just focus more on getting the score done. One thing I will say, just a little public service announcement here. If you are in a dungeon and your DPS is absolute garbage, and you're doing like 20k DPS, and somebody is nice enough to be like, hey, can I help you out? Because I see you're doing this, and your talents maybe aren't the best talents. And if you do this, your DPS will probably increase by about 30,000. And maybe if you do this, you won't struggle with this so much. And if you can, you're based off what I'm seeing, you're pressing this button way too often, this one not enough. Maybe don't be like, nah, my rotation's fine. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. So there's a wee little bit of context. We did a Neltharis run, 11, and it was going fine until we realized the 419 Fury Warrior was doing 20k overall.
Yeah, they were doing like 30k less than me as a tank. Like I don't even as 419 even face rolling, man. You should have been able to do 50k, even face rolling. Yeah. I don't know. They from talking to them, they sounded like the issue for them was that there's too much stuff in the ground, so they were trying to dodge all of it, which I get. Focus on mechanics, yes, absolutely, stay alive. Dead DPS, dude, no DPS, but dude was literally he was running away from the mob, so he was going out of melee range. Then also the talents that they had were just really bad talent choice. They couldn't do any AoE damage. There was only single target. So they were not doing any damage, and they seemed to think that using Whirlwind increased their speed somehow, because they said that they were using, because they use Whirlwind like 500 times. Yeah. And Whirlwind should not be used that often as a Fury Warrior, which is fine.
Yeah, and you look at maybe like, I don't know, like 150 Whirlwinds in a dungeon.
So Whirlwind should be 1 out of every 5 global cooldowns. Because Whirlwind, when you're talented correctly, which he was not, when you're talented correctly, your Whirlwind makes your single target abilities, the next 4 single target uses, hit up to 5 targets or whatever for 50% of the damage. He did not have those talents spec'd in anyway, so all of his single target abilities were literally just single target abilities. So that's a big reason why the damage was so low, because that right there took away probably 200% of his damage right there. So I mean, even if he just had made that talent change, he probably would have been about 40k. But yeah, no, I don't know, and like, you know, it's perfectly fine to not understand how to play your class and even not understand the dungeons or whatever. That's fine. It's not an issue. But when somebody is trying to be nice and help you out, maybe just listen and take the advice and don't go, no, I know what I'm doing, even though you clearly did not. Yeah. Because like a thing, man, most of the, like, I'm sorry, but most of the time, WoW players, when they have somebody like that in a group that's sucking, all they do is just talk down on them and you're just a jerk to them. And so, you know, I try to take the high ground and say, hey, let me help you out. Let me see if we can fix some of the problems and be nice. And then you just don't want anything to do with it. Like, nah, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I had like a side comment where I was like, well, we only have 2 DPS in this group. I didn't say a name or anything, but it's obvious it was him.
Yeah,
I was getting frustrated, you know, like,
yeah, no, and it's
at 11.
Yeah, and it's understandable to be frustrated by it, but like one of the things that definitely try to combat is having too much toxicity in party group stuff. Like, obviously, I'm toxic as can be to you guys, like to you and Lynch. I'm so toxic to my friends all the time. That's just me. Yeah, but like when I'm in a pug and it's somebody I don't know, I try to be nice, unless you're being a jerk, and then I won't be nice. Yeah, but I will absolutely put you in your place if you're being a jerk, an a-hole, and a pug. But you know, if you're just struggling and you know, I want to try to help if I can, but like, you got to actually listen and yeah. The first step to admitting you have the first step is admitting you have a problem. and this person did not seem to think they had a problem. But and that's fine. You know, whatever. I wish them well. They definitely get carried by whatever guild they go with. You know, hats off to that guild, because sheesh.
It's a hard carry.
Yeah, I mean,
heavy carry.
I don't like. Listen,
there's a couple.
I love your parents, and your parents don't do great DPS. I don't have a single problem helping carry them, because they try and they will take advice and they will listen and they will try to learn from what you're telling them. If your parents were like, nah, I know what I'm doing, despite doing lower DPS than the tank, I wouldn't want to carry them.
Yeah, like, just a couple things about that warrior. Was some bosses, he did less damage than the healer.
Yeah, and well, he would die almost every boss fight too, which is, again, it's fine. Yeah. Like, whatever. My point is, it's okay to be bad. Just try to learn. Yeah. If you're bad, don't act like you know what you're doing. Yeah, it's okay. Accept help. If you're new to the game and somebody tries to help you, be grateful, because man, that's a rare thing in WoW. I feel like most people are just, if you're bad at the game, they just want to flame you and yell at you and then make your day worse. Yeah. So, you know, that's why I try not to be too toxic in him, and I want to try to help the guy. But if you're not going to listen, like, I can't help you. But yeah, no. So yeah, public service announcement. If somebody tries to help you out, because you're struggling, don't get mad at them for trying to help you out. Just take the advice and, you know, try to see if it's something that actually helps. Try it out, and, you know, just accept the help, because it's rare in WoW. People typical answer, and it drives me nuts every time I see it. Somebody asks a question in trade chat, and the answer is Google it. You know, like, no, they don't have to Google it. Like, listen, you and Lynch,
that's why
you guys
trade chat's up.
Yeah, and you and Lynch, like, I am your guys' Google. You guys ask me questions all the time, and if I don't know the answer, then you guys get mad at me. But yeah, no, I really am your guys' Google, because I don't know. I'm a very fast Googler, so even if I don't know the answer, I can usually look it up really quickly. Yeah. But it's probably because I have like every WoW site possible bookmarked on my tabs. But no, anyway, just be nice to players, and if somebody's trying to offer you help, you know, try to pay attention and learn a little. That's all. Yeah. But yeah, I think that is pretty much it. We will, if you want to check out my socials, are At Twitch, I am twitch.tv/Buckblind, YouTube, Buckblind the Demon Hunter, and at Twitter, I am BuckblindDH. So feel free to check those out, say hi, drop a like and subscribe to videos for the podcast, whatever you feel like. Bio, what are your socials?
QQ_Bioshock for both Twitch and YouTube.
All right, there you have it. You got anything else, sir?
No, just keep listening. We appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. I will be streaming later tonight. I don't know if Bio will be or not, but feel free to. Well, I guess when you listen to the podcast, I won't be streaming tonight. But yeah, I'll be streaming next weekend for sure. Feel free to tune in. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and we appreciate you. And have a good one.
Bye.